Come follow me reading May 6th through the 12th. In the strength of the Lord, Mosiah 7 through 12. While King Mosiah's people were enjoying continual peace in Zarahemla, their thoughts turned to another group of Nephites who many years before had left to dwell in the land of Lehi Nephi. Generations had passed, and Mosiah's people had heard nothing from them. So Mosiah asked Ammon to lead a search party to find the Nephites who had left. The search party found these Nephites because of iniquity were in captivity to the Lamanites. But with the arrival of Ammon and his brethren, suddenly there was hope for deliverance. Sometimes we are like these captive Nephites, suffering because of our sins and wondering how we'll ever find peace again. Sometimes we're like Ammon, feeling prompted to reach out to others and eventually finding that our efforts have inspired them to lift up their heads and rejoice and put their trust in God. No matter our circumstances, we all need to repent and turn to the Lord with full purpose of heart, with faith that He will deliver us. From the Book of Mormon, chapter 7, Ammon finds the land of Lehi Nephi, where Limhi is king. Limhi's people are in bondage to the Lamanites. Limhi recounts their history. A prophet, Abinadi, had testified that Christ is the God and Father of all things. Those who sow filthiness reap the whirlwind, and those who put their trust in the Lord will be delivered. About 121 BC. And now it came to pass that after King Mosiah had had continual peace for the space of 3 years, he was desirous to know concerning the people who went up to dwell in the land of Lehi Nephi, or in the city of Lehi Nephi, for his people had heard nothing from them from the time they left the land of Zarahemla. Therefore, they wearied him with their teasings. And now it came to pass that King Mosiah granted that 16 of their strong men might go up to the land of Lehi Nephi to inquire concerning their brethren. And it came to pass that on the morrow they started to go up, having with them one Ammon, he being a strong and mighty man, and a descendant of Zarahemla, and he was also their leader. And now they knew not the course they should travel in the wilderness to go up to the land of Lehi Nephi. Therefore they wandered many days in the wilderness, even 40 days they wandered. And it came to pass, and now they knew not the course they should travel in the wilderness to go up to the land of Lehi Nephi. Therefore they wandered many days in the wilderness, even 40 days they did wander. And when they had wandered 40 days, they came to a hill which is north of the land of Shilom, and there they pitched their tents. And Ammon took 3 of his brethren, and their names were Amaleki, Helam, and Hem. And they went down into the land of Nephi. And behold, they met with the king of the people who were in the land of Nephi and in the land of Shilom. And they were surrounded by the king's guard, and were taken, and were bound, and were committed to prison. And it came to pass, when they had been in prison 2 days, they were again brought before the king, and their bands were loosed, and they stood before the king, and were permitted, or rather commanded, that they should answer the questions which he should ask them. And he said unto them, Behold, I am Limhi, the son of Noah, who was son of Zeniff, and he came up out of the land of Zarahemla to inherit this land, which was the land of their fathers, who was made a king by the voice of the people. And now I desire to know the cause whereby ye were so bold as to come near the walls of the city, when I myself was with my guards without the gate. And now for this cause I have suffered that ye should be preserved, that I might inquire of you, or else I should have caused that my guards should have put you to death. Ye are permitted to speak. And now, when Ammon saw that he was permitted to speak, he went forth and bowed himself before the king. And rising again, he said, O king, I am very thankful before God this day that I am yet alive and I am permitted to speak, and I will endeavor to speak with boldness. For I am assured that if ye had known me, ye would have not suffered that I should have worn these bands. For I am Ammon, I am a descendant of Zarahemla, and I have come up out of the land of Zarahemla to inquire concerning our brethren, whom Zeniff brought up out of the land. Now it came to pass that after Limhi had heard the words of Ammon, he was exceedingly glad, and said, Now I know of a surety that my brethren who are in the land of Zarahemla are yet alive. And now I will rejoice, and on the morrow I will cause that my people shall rejoice also. For behold, we are in bondage to the Lamanites, and we are taxed with a tax which is grievous to be borne. And now behold, our brethren will deliver us out of bondage, or out of the hands of the Lamanites, and we will be their slaves. For it is better that we be the slaves to the Nephites than to pay tribute to the king of the Lamanites. And now King Limhi commanded his guards that they should no more bind Ammon nor his brethren, but caused that they should go to the hill which was north of Shilom, and bring their brethren into the city, that thereby they may eat and drink, and rest themselves from the labors of their journey, for they had suffered many things. They had suffered hunger and thirst and fatigue. Now it came to pass on the morrow that King Limhi sent a proclamation among his people, all of his people, that thereby they might gather themselves together to the temple to hear the words which he should speak unto them. And it came to pass that when they had gathered themselves together, that he spake unto them in this wise, saying, O ye my people, lift up your heads and be comforted, for behold, the time is at hand, or is not far distant, when we shall no longer be in subjection to our enemies, notwithstanding our many strugglings, which have been in vain. Yet I trust there remaineth an effectual struggle to be made. Therefore lift up your heads and rejoice, and put your trust in God, in that God who was the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and also that God who brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, and caused that they should walk through the Red Sea on dry ground, and fed them with manna, that they might not perish in the wilderness, and many more things he did for them. From the Come Follow Me manual, God helped people in the scriptures, and he can help me. When his people were in trouble, King Limhi shared scriptures to build their faith. Ask your children about scripture stories or characters that help them have faith. Then you could read Mosiah chapter 17, verse 19 to them, and review the stories mentioned in this verse. Maybe your children would like to act them out. How did the Lord help the people in these stories? How can he help us? For more examples of how the Lord helps us, select some verses from Book of Mormon stories or Nephi's Courage, which is in the children's songbook. To sing with your children, help them identify how the Lord helped people in the Book of Mormon and how he can help us. Back to the scriptures. And again, that same God has brought our fathers out of the land of Jerusalem and has kept and preserved his people even until now. And behold, it is because of our iniquities and abominations that he has brought us into bondage. And ye are all witnesses this day that Zeniff, who was made king over this people, he being overzealous to inherit the land of his fathers, therefore being deceived by the cunning and craftiness of King Laman, who having entered into a treaty with King Zeniff, and having yielded up into his hands the possessions of a part of the land, or even the city of Lehi Nephi, and the city of Shilom, and the land round about. And all this he did for the sole purpose of bringing this people into subjection or into bondage. And behold, we at this time do pay tribute to the king of the Lamanites, to the amount of 1/2 of our corn and our barley, and even all of our grain of every kind, and 1/2 of the increase of our flocks and our herds, and even 1/2 of all we possess. The king of the Lamanites doth exact of us, or our lives. And now is this not grievous to be borne? And is not this our affliction great? Now behold, how great reason we have to mourn. Yea, I say unto you, great are the reasons which we have to mourn. For behold, how many of our brethren have been slain, and their blood has been spilt in vain, and all because of iniquity. For if this people had not fallen into transgression, the Lord would not have suffered that this great evil should come upon them. But behold, they would not hearken unto his words. But there arose contentions among them, even so much that they did shed blood among themselves. And a prophet of the Lord have they slain, yea, a chosen man of God, who told them of their wickedness and abominations, and prophesied of many things which are to come, yea, even the coming of Christ. And because he said unto them that Christ was the God, the Father of all things, and said that he should take upon him the image of man, and it should be the image after which man was created in the beginning, or in other words, he said that man was created after the image of God, and that God should come down among the children of men and take upon him flesh and blood, and go forth upon the face of the earth. From the Come Follow Me manual, I was created after the image of God. In Mosiah chapter 7, verses 26 through 27, Lemhi explains some of the truths taught by Abinadi. What truths can you identify in these verses? How do these truths affect the way you see God and yourself? See also Russell M. Nelson, Your Body a Magnificent Gift to Cherish, from Liahona in August edition in 2019. And back to the scriptures. And now, because he said this, they did put him to death, and many more things did they do which brought down the wrath of God upon them. Therefore, who wondereth that they are in bondage, and that they are smitten with sore afflictions? For behold, the Lord hath said, I will not succor my people in the day of their transgression, but I will hedge up their ways, that they prosper not, and their doing shall be as a stumbling block before them. And again he saith, If my people shall sow filthiness, they shall reap the chaff thereof in the whirlwind, and the effect thereof is poison. And again he saith, If my people shall sow filthiness, they shall reap the east wind, which bringeth immediate destruction. And now behold, the promise of the Lord is fulfilled, and ye are smitten and afflicted. But if ye will turn to the Lord with full purpose of heart, and put your trust in him, and serve him with all diligence of mind, if ye will do this, he will, according to his own will and pleasure, deliver you out of bondage. From the Come Follow Me manual, Jesus has the power to deliver me. Meeting Ammon gave King Lemhi hope, and he wanted to pass that hope on to his people. Maybe his words can give you hope too. For context, consider reviewing the situation of Lemhi's people in Mosiah chapter 7, 20 through 25. Then ponder these questions as you read from Mosiah chapter 7, verses 14 through 33. What did Lemhi say to strengthen his people's faith and hope in Christ? What phrases help you feel hope? What experiences have helped you trust that God can and will deliver you? See also Redeemer of Israel, hymn number 6. Back to the scriptures, chapter 8. Ammon teaches the people of Lemhi. He learns of the 24 Jaredite plates. Ancient records can be translated by seers. No gift is greater than seership. About 121 BC. And it came to pass that after King Lemhi had made an end of speaking to his people, for he spake many things unto them, and only a few of them have I written in this book, he told his people all the things concerning their brethren who were in the land of Zarahemla, and he caused that Ammon should stand up before the multitude and rehearse unto them all that had happened unto their brethren, from the time that Zeniff went up out of the land, even until the time that he himself came up out of the land. And he also rehearsed unto them the last words which King Benadai had taught them, and explained them to the people of King Lemhi, so that they might understand all the words which he spake. And it came to pass that after he had done this, after he had done all of this, that King Lemhi dismissed the multitude, and caused that they should return every one unto his own house. And it came to pass that he caused that the plates which contained the record of his people from the time that they left the land of Zarahemla should be brought before Ammon, that he might read them. Now as soon as Ammon had read the record, the king inquired of him to know if he could interpret languages. And Ammon told him that he could not. And the king said unto him, being grieved for the afflictions of my people, I caused that 43 of my people should take a journey into the wilderness, that thereby they might find the land of Zarahemla, that we might appeal unto our brethren to deliver us out of bondage. And they were lost in the wilderness for the space of many days, yet they were diligent, and found not the land of Zarahemla, but returned to this land, having traveled in a land among many waters, having discovered a land which was covered with bones of men and of beasts, and was also covered with ruins of buildings of every kind, having discovered a land which had been peopled with a people who were as numerous as the hosts of Israel. And for a testimony that these things that they had said are true, they have brought 24 plates, which are filled with engravings, and they are of pure gold. And behold, also, they have brought breastplates, which are large, and they are of brass and of copper, and are perfectly sound. And again, they have brought swords, and the hilts thereof have perished, and the blades thereof were cankered with rust. And there is no one in the land that is able to interpret the language or the engravings that are on the plates. Therefore, I say unto thee, canst thou translate? And I say unto thee again, knowest thou of anyone that can translate? For I am desirous that these records should be translated into our language, for perhaps they will give us a knowledge of a remnant of the people, who have been destroyed, from whence these records came, or perhaps they will give us a knowledge of this very people who have been destroyed, and I am desirous to know the cause of their destruction. And now Ammon said unto him, I can assuredly tell thee, O king, of a man that can translate the records, for he has wherewith that he can look and translate all records that are of ancient date, and it is a gift from God, and the things are called interpreters, and no man can look into them except he be commanded, lest he should look for that he ought not, and he should perish. And whoso ever is commanded to look in them, the same is called a seer. From the student manual, President Joseph Fielding Smith, this is regarding Mosiah chapter 8, and the interpreters. President Joseph Fielding Smith provided this historical overview of the interpreters referred to in the Book of Mormon. King Mosiah possessed 2 stones which were fastened into 2 rims of a bow, called by the Nephites interpreters, with which he translated the Jaredite record, and these were handed down from generation to generation for the purpose of interpreting languages. How Mosiah came into possession of these two stones, or Urim and Thummim, the record does not tell us, more than to say that it was a gift from God. Mosiah had this gift, or Urim and Thummim, before the people of Limhi discovered the record of Ether. They may have been received when the large stone was brought to Mosiah with gravings upon it, which he interpreted by the gift and power of God. They may have been given to him or to some other prophet before his day, just as the brother of Jared received them from the Lord. That the Urim and Thummim, or two stones, given to the brother of Jared, were those in the possession of Mosiah appears evident from the following statements in the Book of Mormon. The brother of Jared was commanded to seal up his writings of the vision he had when Christ appeared to him, so that they could not be read by his people. This vision was in a language which was confounded, for it was not to go forth until after the resurrection of Christ. The Urim and Thummim were also sealed up, so they could not be used for the purpose of interpreting those sacred writings of this vision until such time as the Lord should grant to men to interpret them. When they were to be revealed, they were to be interpreted by the aid of the same Urim and Thummim. Joseph Smith received with the breastplate and the plates of the Book of Mormon the Urim and Thummim, which were hid up by Moroni to come forth in the last days as a means by which the ancient record might be translated, which Urim and Thummim were given to the brother of Jared. Again from the Book of Mormon. And behold, the king of the people who are in the land of Zarahemla is the man that is commanded to do these things, and who has this high gift from God. And the king said that a seer is greater than a prophet. From the student manual regarding Mosiah chapter 8. A seer is greater than a prophet. President Howard W. Hunter explained the unique role of a seer and how a seer views things differently than others. A seer is one who sees. This does not mean that he sees through his natural eyes, but rather through spiritual eyes. The seeric gift is a supernatural endowment. Elder John A. Whitstow, of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, further described a seer as one who perceives the meaning of that which seems obscure to others. Therefore, he is an interpreter and clarifier of eternal truth. He foresees the future from the past and the present. This he does by the power of the Lord operating through him directly or indirectly with the aid of divine instruments such as the Urim and Thummim. In short, he is one who sees, who walks in the Lord's light with open eyes. Back to the Book of Mormon. And Ammon said that a seer is a revelator and a prophet also. And a gift which is greater can no man have except he should possess the power of God, which no man can. Yet a man may have great power given him from God. But a seer can know of things which are past, and also of things which are to come, and by them shall all things be revealed. Or rather, shall secret things be made manifest, and hidden things shall come to light, and things which are not known shall be made known by them, and also things shall be made known by them which otherwise could not be known. Thus God has provided a means that man, through faith, might work mighty miracles. Therefore he becometh a great benefit to his fellow beings. From the Come Follow Me manual in Mosiah chapter 8, God has given us prophets, seers, and revelators. One way to teach about seers is to compare them to things that help us see better, like glasses, binoculars, or microscope. Then as you read Mosiah chapter 8, verse 17 to your children, they could put their hands up to their eyes like they're looking through binoculars each time they hear the word seer. Talk with them about things that the Lord helps prophets see that we can't. What have our prophets or seers, such as Joseph Smith, revealed to us? After reading Mosiah chapter 8, 16 through 18 with your children, you could help them think of ways to complete a sentence like, a seer is like a blank who helps us blank. For example, a seer is like a traffic sign who points us to Jesus. You could also make paper footprints and invite your children to draw pictures on them of things that prophets, seers, and revelators have counseled us to do. Place the footprints in a path around the room and let your children walk on these footprints. How can a seer be a great benefit to us? From the Book of Mormon. And now, when Ammon had made an end of speaking these words, the king rejoiced exceedingly and gave thanks to God, saying, doubtless, a great mystery is contained within these plates, and these interpreters were doubtless prepared for the purpose of unfolding all such mysteries to the children of men. From the Come Follow Me manual, again regarding chapter 8, the Lord provides prophets, seers, and revelators to benefit mankind. When Limhi heard Ammon's testimony that the Lord had raised up a seer, Limhi rejoiced exceedingly and gave thanks to God. Why do you think he felt that way? What do you learn about seers from Ammon's words in Mosiah chapter 8, verses 13 through 19? Today we sustain the first presidency and quorum of the 12 apostles as prophets, seers, and revelators. How have they been a great benefit to you? What have they taught you about Jesus Christ? How can you, like Ammon, speak boldly about the need for prophets, seers, and revelators? For example, what could you share with your family or on social media about the following statement? Truths that have been restored in our day by Joseph Smith and other prophets of the Lord, such as the nature of God, our divine identity, or the eternal nature of family. A review of the restoration of the fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ, or the family proclamation to the world, might help you think of some of these truths. The blessing of commandments or ordinances, such as the word of wisdom, the law of chastity, or sealing of families. Last month, we heard from prophets, seers, and revelators in General Conference. What messages inspired you? What messages inspired you, and what will you do differently based on what you learned? What will you do differently based on what you learned? What did the Lord's seers say about things which are to come? See also Gospel Topics under Prophets in the Gospel Library. Back to the Book of Mormon. How marvelous are the works of God, and how long doth he suffer with his people, yea, and how blind and impenetrable are the understandings of the children of men, for they will not seek wisdom, neither do they desire that she should rule over them. Yea, they are as a wild flock which fleeth from the shepherd, and scattereth, and are driven, and are devoured by beasts of the forest. From the Student Manual, Mosiah chapter 8, again, a revelator and a prophet. In Mosiah chapter 8, 15 through 21, Ammon told of the great benefit that comes to men through having a seer among the people, because a seer has the gift of seeing both the past and the future, as well as revealing hidden things or as revealing hidden things, he becomes a great benefit to his fellow beings. Such hidden things might include impending judgments on a city, nation, or people, warnings about the consequences of sin, explanations of blessings for obedience, and definitions of important gospel principles. In an age of doubt, fear, and uncertainty, such as we live in today, we have one who can see. The course which leads us to peace and joy is a blessing to be treasured. Mosiah chapter 7, verses 1 through 14, and then 8, 7 through 21. Nephite journeys. And this is a diagram you can take a look at. From the student manual, using the map, Significant Journeys in the Book of Mormon, locate the city of Zarahemla, A, and Zeniff's colony in the land of Lehi Nephi, B. Also locate the following journeys between Zarahemla and the land of Lehi Nephi. Number 1, the ill-fated expedition. 2, Zeniff's expedition. 3, the expedition of 43 men to find Zarahemla. 4, Alma's escape. C, to the waters of Mormon and the establishment of the city of Helam, that's an E. 5, Ammon's expedition to find Zeniff's colony. 6, Lemhi's escape to Zarahemla. 7, Alma's escape to Zarahemla. The following material can be used to help you with this exercise. Number 1, the ill-fated expedition. A, read Omni 1, 27 through 28. About 200 BC, a large number of Nephites wanted to possess the land of their inheritance. B, read Mosiah chapter 9, verse 1. Who was the man sent to spy on the Lamanites? C, read Omni chapter 1, verse 28, and Mosiah chapter 9, verse 2. What caused the contention among the group after Zeniff made his report? D, what was the fate of this expedition? Question 2, Zeniff's expedition. A, read Omni chapter 1, verse 29, and Mosiah chapter 9, verse 3. Why did Zeniff organize a second group to go to the land of Nephi? And B, why did Zeniff's expedition meet with much affliction? C, read Mosiah chapter 9, verses 4 through 7. Zeniff entered into a treaty with the Lamanites. The Lamanite king, Laman, commanded the Lamanites who inhabited the land of blank to evacuate. See the approximate location on the map. And D, read Mosiah chapter 7, verse 9. Who was the first king of this new colony? At this point, it would be helpful to understand who the kings were during the period of 200 to 121 BC. Identify the kings of the land of Zarahemla and the land of Lehi Nephi by reading the references on the map. Kings, about the kings, and then filling in the names. And there's a diagram of that. From the student manual, Zeniff's successor. Following Zeniff's death, his son Noah was appointed to succeed him as king. Noah was an unrighteous man who had many wives and concubines and led the colony into a state of wickedness. He put down all the priests that had been consecrated by his father and appointed new ones who would sustain him in his self-indulgent ways. When the prophet Abinadi called attention to his sins, Noah had him killed, but not before Abinadi delivered a scathing rebuke and prophesied of Noah's death. Present in the court of Noah that day was a young priest named Alma, who had been appointed by Noah. Believing the words of Abinadi, he pleaded with Noah to spare him, but the other priests prevailed. Alma was forced to flee, and while in hiding, he recorded the words of Abinadi. This is question 3. The expedition of 43 men to find Zarahemla. A. Who was the successor to the wicked King Noah? B. 43 men were sent into the wilderness. What was the purpose of this expedition? C. What did this group discover? D. What did they think they had found? Question 4. Alma's escape to the waters of Mormon and the establishment of the city of Helam. A. Abinadi's words helped to convert Alma, one of the priests of Noah. How did King Noah react to Alma's conversion? B. Alma fled to the waters of Mormon. Locate this on the map. Significant journeys in the Book of Mormon. Who joined Alma before he left this location? C. Why did Alma and his followers have to leave the waters of Mormon? How many fled with Alma into the wilderness? D. Where did Alma's colony stop? And what did they name their city? Question 5, or topic 5, Ammon's expedition to find Zeniff's colony. Read Mosiah chapter 7, verses 2 through 3. Why did Mosiah 2 send 16 strong men to the land of Lehi Nephi? B. Who was their leader? C. Ammon learned about the expedition of the 43 men and their discovery of 24 plates. How did Ammon say these records could be translated? Topic 6. Limhi's escape to Zarahemla. This is A. Ammon and his brethren and King Limhi and his people studied diligently to find a means of escaping from the Lamanites. Who proposed the plan for escape? B. What was the plan? C. What happened to Limhi's group after the escape? This is the 7th topic. Alma's escape to Zarahemla. Alma's colony was discovered by the Lamanite army, who became lost while pursuing Limhi's group. The Lamanite king appointed the leader of King Noah's priests to rule Alma's colony. What did the Lord do to enable Alma and his people to escape? Again, from the student manual for chapter 9, Introduction. Zeniff established a Nephite colony in the Lamanite land of Lehi Nephi, and was succeeded as king by his wicked son Noah. The prophet Abinadi boldly testified of Christ and warned Noah and his people of the judgments of God that would come upon them if they did not repent. Abinadi was put to death by Noah and his wicked priests, but not before he delivered some of the greatest teachings found in the Book of Mormon. Introduction. Mosiah chapters 9 through 24 recounts the history of a colony led by Zeniff from the land of Zarahemla to the land of Lehi Nephi. The record covers a period of almost 80 years, from about 200 BC until their return to the land of Zarahemla in about 121 BC. This was about the same time period that Kings Mosiah I, Benjamin, and Mosiah II were reigning in the land of Zarahemla. Zeniff, Noah, and Limhi reigned in the land of Lehi Nephi. Now, this would be back to the Book of Mormon. The record of Zeniff. An account of his people from the time they left the land of Zarahemla until the time they were delivered out of the hands of the Lamanites, comprising chapters 9 through 22. This will be chapter 9. Zeniff leads a group from Zarahemla to possess the land of Lehi Nephi. The Lamanite king permits them to inherit the land. There is war between the Lamanites and Zeniff's people, about 200 to 187 BC. Zeniff, having been taught in all the language of the Nephites, and having had a knowledge of the land of Nehi, or of the land of their father's first inheritance, and having sent us as a spy among the Lamanites, that I might spy out their forces, that our army might come upon them and destroy them. But when I saw that which was good among them, I was desirous they should not be destroyed. Therefore I contended with my brethren in the wilderness that I would that our rulers should make a treaty with them. But he, being an austere and a bloodthirsty man, commanded that I should be slain. But I was rescued by the shedding of much blood, for father fought against father, and brother against brother, until a great number of our army was destroyed in the wilderness. And we returned, those of us that were spared, to the land of Zarahemla, to relate that tale to their wives and to their children. And yet I, being overzealous to inherit the land of our fathers, collected as many as were desirous to go up to possess the land, and started again on our journey into the wilderness to go up to the land. But we were smitten with famine and sore afflictions, for we were slow to remember the Lord our God. Nevertheless, after many days wandering in the wilderness, we pitched our tents in the place where our brethren were slain, which was near the land of our fathers. And it came to pass that I went again with 4 of my men into the city, in unto the king, that I might know of the disposition of the king, and that I might know if I might go in with my people and possess the land in peace. And I went into the king, and he covenanted with me that I might possess the land of Lehi Nephi and the land of Shilom. And he also commanded that his people should depart out of the land, and I and my people went in to the land that we might possess it. And we began to build buildings, and to repair the walls of the city, yea, even the walls of the city of Lehi Nephi and the city of Shilom. And we began to till the ground, yea, even with all manner of seeds, with seeds of corn, and of wheat, and of barley, and of nees, and with sham, and with seeds of all manner of fruits. And we did begin to multiply and prosper in the land. Now it came to pass. Now it was cunning and craftiness of the king of Laman, King Laman, to bring my people into bondage. That he yielded up the land that we might possess it. I'll read that again. Now it was cunning and craftiness of King Laman to bring my people into bondage, that he yielded up the land that we might possess it. Therefore it came to pass that after he had dwelt in the land for a space of 12 years, that King Laman began to grow uneasy, lest by any means my people should wax strong in the land, and that they could not overpower them and bring them into bondage. Now they were a lazy and an idolatrous people. Therefore they were desirous to bring us into bondage, that they may glut themselves with the labors of our hands, yea, that they might feast themselves upon the flocks of our fields. Therefore it came to pass that King Laman began to stir up his people, that they should contend with my people. Therefore there began to be wars and contentions in the land. For in the 14th year of my reign in the land of Nephi, away on the south of the land of Shilom, when my people were watering and feeding their flocks and tilling their lands, a numerous host of Lamanites came upon them and began to slay them, and to take off their flocks and the corn of their fields. Yea, it came to pass that they fled, all that were not overtaken, even into the city of Nephi, and did call upon me for protection. And it came to pass that I did arm them with clubs and with slings and with all manner of weapons which we could invent, and I and my people did go forth against the Lamanites to battle. Yea, and in the strength of the Lord did we go forth to battle against the Lamanites. For I and my people did cry mightily to the Lord that he would deliver us out of the hands of our enemies. For we were awakened to a remembrance of the deliverance of our fathers. And God did hear our cries and did answer our prayers, And we did go forth in his might, and we did go forth against the Lamanites, and in one day and in one night we did slay 3,043. We did slay them even until we had driven them out of the land, and I myself with mine own hands did help bury their dead. And behold, to our great sorrow and lamentation, 279 of our brethren were slain. From the Student Manual, about chapter 9. The land of our fathers' first inheritance. Zeniff and his people left Zarahemla to return to the land of Nephi during the reign of Mosiah I, the father of King Benjamin. Many years later, during the reign of King Benjamin's son Mosiah II, Ammon went to the land of Nephi to see what had happened to Zeniff's people, because they had not been heard from for so long. This is not the Ammon who was one of the 4 sons of Mosiah II. From the Book of Mormon, chapter 10. King Laman dies. His people are wild and ferocious and believe in false traditions. Zeniff and his people prevail against them about 187 to 160 BC. It came to pass that we again began to establish the kingdom, and we again began to possess the land in peace. And I caused that there should be weapons of war made of every kind, that thereby I might have weapons for my people against the time the Lamanites should come up again to war against my people. And I set guards round about the land and the Lamanites, that the Lamanites might not come upon us again unawares and destroy us. And thus I did guard my people and my flocks, and keep them from falling into the hands of our enemies. And it came to pass that we did inherit the land of our fathers for many years, yea, for the space of 22 years. And I did cause that the men should till the ground, and raise all manner of grain and all manner of fruit of every kind. And I did cause that the women should spin and toil and work all manner of fine linen, yea, and cloth of every kind, that we might clothe our nakedness. And thus we did prosper in the land, and thus we did have continual peace in the land for the space of 22 years. And it came to pass that King Laman died, and his son began to reign in his stead. And he began to stir his people up in rebellion against my people. Therefore they began to prepare for war, and to come up to battle against my people. But I had sent spies round about the land of Shemlon, that I might discover their preparations, that I might guard against them, that they might not come upon my people and destroy them. It came to pass that they came up upon the north of the land of Shilem with their numerous hosts, men armed with bows and with arrows and with swords and with scimitars and with stones and with slings. And they had their heads shaved that they were naked, and they were girded with a leathern girdle about their loins. And it came to pass that I caused that the women and children of my people should be hid in the wilderness, and also I caused that all of my old men, that they could bear arms, and also my young men that were able to bear arms, should gather themselves together to go to battle against the Lamanites. And I did place them in their ranks, every man according to his age. It came to pass that we did go to battle against the Lamanites, and even I in my old age did go up to battle against the Lamanites. And it came to pass that we did go up in the strength of the Lord to battle. And now the Lamanites knew nothing concerning the Lord, nor the strength of the Lord. Therefore they depended upon their own strength. Yet they were a strong people as to the strength of men. From the Come Follow Me manual, concerning chapters 9 and 10 in Mosiah, when I am weak, the Lord can strengthen me. When children face challenges, they sometimes feel weak and helpless. How will you help your children rely on the Lord's strength? You could ask them what to do to become physically strong. What does it mean to have the strength of men. What does it mean to have the strength of the Lord? How do we receive the strength of the Lord? Your children could draw a picture of things that help them receive the strength of the Lord. Back to the Book of Mormon. They were a wild and ferocious and a bloodthirsty people, believing in the tradition of their fathers, which is this: believing that they were driven out of the land of Jerusalem because of the iniquities of their fathers, and that they were wronged in the wilderness by their brethren, and they were also wronged while crossing the sea. And again, that they were wronged while in the land of their first inheritance after they had crossed the sea, and all this because that Nephi was more faithful in keeping the commandments of the Lord. Therefore he was favored of the Lord, for the Lord heard his prayers and answered them, and he took the lead of their journey in the wilderness. And his brethren were wroth with him because they understood not the dealings of the Lord. They were also wroth with him upon the waters because they hardened their hearts against the Lord. And again, they were wroth with him when they had arrived in the promised land, because they said that he had taken the ruling of the people out of their hands, and they sought to kill him. And again, they were wroth with him because he departed into the wilderness as the Lord had commanded him, and took their records, which were engraven upon the plates of brass, for they said that he robbed them. And thus they have taught their children that they should hate them, and that they should murder them, and that they should rob and plunder them, and do all they could to destroy them. Therefore, they have an eternal hatred towards the children of Nephi. From the Student Manual, Mosiah chapter 10, False Traditions. The Lamanites came to accept as truth a distorted version of events concerning their original journey from Jerusalem. These false traditions were handed down from generation to generation, creating deep prejudices or an eternal hatred among the Lamanites against the Nephites. In latter-day revelation, the Lord warned that Satan uses false traditions to take away truth and light. Because of these traditions, the Lamanites felt justified in murdering, robbing, attempting to destroy, or enslave the Nephites. Elder Richard G. Scott of the Quorum of 12 Apostles taught that what we should do when a family or cultural tradition, I guess that could be a condition too, conflicts with God's plan or standards. He counseled us to be careful, to carefully examine our lives to determine what traditions may differ from the teachings of the Lord. And this is a quote from him. Your Heavenly Father assigned you to be born into a specific lineage from which you receive your inheritance of race, culture, and traditions. That lineage can provide a rich heritage and great reasons to rejoice. Yet you have a responsibility to determine if there is any part of that heritage that must be discarded because it works against the Lord's plan of happiness. You may ask, how can one determine when a tradition is in conflict with the teaching of the Lord and should be abandoned? That is not easily done. I have found difficult it is as I work to overcome some of my own incorrect traditions. Customs and traditions become an inherent part of us. They are not easy to evaluate objectively. Carefully study the scriptures and counsel of the prophets to understand how the Lord wants you to live. Then evaluate each part of your life and make any adjustments needed. Seek help from another you respect who has been able to set aside some deeply held convictions or traditions that are not in harmony with the Lord's plan. Is yours a culture where a husband exerts a domineering, authoritarian rule, making all the important decisions for the family? That pattern needs to be tempered so that both husband and wife act as equal partners, making decisions in unity for themselves and their family. These are other traditions that should be set aside. any aspect of heritage that would violate the word of wisdom that is based on forcing others to comply by the power of station often determined by heredity, that encourage the establishment of caste systems, that breeds conflict with other cultures. That's end quote from Robert D. Hales. From the Come Follow Me manual, Mosiah chapter 10, my choices can influence generations. As you read Mosiah chapter 10, verses 11 through 17, identify how the actions and attitudes of previous generations of Lamanites affected the generations that followed. What does this suggest about how your choices may affect others for good or bad, including people who are not yet born? Back to the Book of Mormon. For this very cause has King Laman, by his cunning and lying craftiness and his fair promises, deceived me, that I have brought my people up into this land, that they may destroy them. Yea, and we have suffered these many years in the land. And now I, Zenith, after having told all these things unto my people concerning the Lamanites, I did stimulate them to go to battle with their might, putting their trust in the Lord. Therefore we did contend with them face to face. From the student manual concerning chapters 9 and 10 in Mosiah, in the strength of the Lord. Zenith recorded that they fought in the strength of the Lord when battling the Lamanites. Although Zenith's people were greatly outnumbered, they overcame their Lamanite aggressors with comparatively few casualties. Their success was due to their faithfulness to God. The Lord heard their cries and blessed them with strength. Throughout the Book of Mormon, we see that giving strength to his people is one of God's tender mercies. Benjamin's people in Zarahemla were victorious over the Lamanites because they fought in the strength of the Lord. In the Book of Alma, the success of the Nephite armies can be attributed to their ability to trust in God to assist them in their battles and not in the size of the army. Although our battles may not be physical warfare, the phrase "in the strength of the Lord" teaches us that we too can ask for assistance from God to grant us strength to triumph over our foes. Back to the Book of Mormon. And it came to pass that we did drive them again out of our land, and we slew them with great slaughter, even so many that we did not number them. And it came to pass that we returned again to our own land, and my people again began to tend their flocks and to till their ground. And now I, being old, did confer the kingdom upon one of my sons. Therefore I say no more, and may the Lord bless my people. Amen. From the Come Follow Me manual. Chapters 9 and 10. I can face my challenges in the strength of the Lord. Zenith admitted that his mistakes had put his people in a difficult situation, but later, during battles against the Lamanites, he helped his people face their challenges with faith in the Lord. As you read Mosiah chapters 9 and 10, look for what Zenith's people did to show their faith. How did God strengthen them? How has he strengthened you? What does it mean to you to go forth in the strength of the Lord? Here's a dot to dot entitled "God Provides Prophets, Seers, and Revelators to Benefit Mankind." Joseph Smith was a seer. Yes, he was.